Alright, welcome back to the Supercoach Nuff channel. In this video we're going to look at NRL team lists for round 8, as well as review the Dream Team for round 7. This is my second go at it, so I might be a little bit quicker than I was originally, but had way too much junk in my computer and the recording just stopped because I ran out of disk space. So second time lucky, let's go. Team list for this week: Broncos Bulldogs. Probably the big news here: Selwyn Cobbo named at fullback with Reece Walsh injured. Dean Mariner just comes on the wing to cover that gap. Jordan Ricky back as well is good news for the Broncos. Bulldogs only change Harry Hayes back in for Jack Todd. Roosters Dragons. So probably the big news here is Dom Young dropped in the extended reserve. So Billy Smith comes in at centre and Nwangani Tawaisi moves out to the wing. So good news for people who had Marky Mark in fantasies and Supercoach and all those formats. But Billy Smith, cheapie of the week in Supercoach. Dragons, not too much to look at this week. For now is on the watch list as a cheapie for next week. Warriors Knights. The Warriors, so CNK back, which is great news. I guess also Rocco Berry back in, which pushes Capewell to the edge forward, pushes Hal Seamer to the bench. But 4 forwards are named on the bench, so Wade Egan, if you haven't already been looking at him, looks pretty good as a hooker option this season. For the Knights, Dylan Lucas back is the big news, so Thomas Cant dropped back to the bench. So maybe he has one more week of cash in him, and then probably time to move on there. Storm Rabbitohs, Nick Meaney back for the Storm's good news. Just a straight swap with Jack Howarth. And for South, Latrell Mitchell named at fullback. So I was hoping for one more game to get him as a 5/8 in Supercoach, but I don't think it's going to be. Bentley Hape named on the wing. So I think they had Campbell Graham out there last week. He pushes back into the centre. Aiken pushes into the second row. Jaiari pushes into lock to replace Hubner. And then Sullivan comes in, obviously with Latrell moving out to fullback. Jai Gray moves to the bench. And Lewis Dodd drops out for the time being. Cowboys, Titans. So I think with the Cowboys, just Bateman and Nanai back on the starting edges. That was the only change from the description. Titans, so Dave Fafita named on the bench. Chris Randall named on the edge to start. So maybe a watch and see there. Khan Pereira back as well if you have him in a draft format, potentially. Panthers, Sea Eagles. So for the Panthers, Tungo back in for Garner. Got there eventually. And also Summonin comes in for Mitch Kenny. But the big news here, Tom Turbo back for Manly. Hopewadi moves back to the wing. And no Jake Trbojevic this week, so Jazz Tavanga shifts to lock. Simpkins starts at hooker. Tommy Talau on the bench probably is a bit of cover for Tom Trbojevic. Raiders, Dolphins. So Raiders, I don't think there's any news. Looks pretty much the same as usual. They'll probably swap Smithies around with Papali or something like that on game day, but whatever. For the Dolphins, interestingly, Max Plath named in the 9 jersey this week again, despite going down with what was supposed to be a long-term foot injury. So, interesting watch there. Mark Nichols moving to lock forward, though. I thought Tom Gilbert might shift there because I thought Plath was out, to be fair. But I think this puts a line through Tom Gilbert now, so need to adjust my fantasy trades. West Tigers, Sharks. So Tigers, Lockie Galvin back in the 6. So Dewey moves back out to the centres. Naden moves out onto the wing. But other than that, Royce Hunt, I think, is an inclusion, but maybe not relevant. The Sharks, the only change is Toby Rudolph for Hautapua on the bench. So that's just a quick team list. As I said, I already did it once with a bit more discussion, and it didn't record. So just sort of summarise what I talked about there. Nice and easy for you. I'll go back on Dream Team because I did also record this, but a 1087 this week for myself, which was fantastic. Moved up 50 spots overall into the top 100, which is pretty cool. And I won't dwell too long on the players, um, but we'll probably highlight the three trade-ins this week. So we traded in Jacob Preston, who scored an 80, Isaiah Katoa, who scored a 77, and we could have probably taken that VC. We only got 71 from Haas. Could have got 91 out of May, but that's by the by. And Hiroti, who was sort of a forced move when we lost Campbell this week with a 67. So the trades were fantastic. Pretty chuffed about all that, to be honest. Head to head this week, played Nathan, the Brisbane Broncos team that he's got, and he scored 4 digits as well, so probably a bit stiff to not get the head to head this week. Couchman with an 81 is a good investment for him. Connor Watson with 76. He's one I'm sort of debating using a few trades on to bring in. Might have to trade out through Origin, but I'll bring him back in for the run home. Terrell Mayer's captain was good as well. But yeah, it's just these sneaky pods like Katoa. I guess having Haas and Yo is pretty nice as well in this matchup. White was good. Hiroti, again, forced move, but worked out well. So top 2 scores in the league as well. So that's what I mean. Really unlucky for Nathan this week. Just my team was a little bit better off. Just quickly show some of the other big scores and the break evens for those that don't want to pay the $20 for the assistant coach package. Hudson Young top scored this week with a 92. Don't know if you can pay $840 for him. Surely he's got to be in the New South Wales team as well. So yeah, I can't justify bringing him in, but well done to the 190 teams that do have him. Dylan Edwards was great with an 88. Max King with an 87. Marzu with an 87 at his price has a negative break even this week. So probably the sort of upgrade, or not even upgrade target, but downgrade target for Jaden Campbell. Maybe if you're upgrading a Jennings or you want to get out of the Iongi pick, Marzu's a nice way out of that. But yeah, the other guys we've sort of featured, Herbie Farnworth, again, very expensive, but dual position, averaging 60. He probably is the keeper in the centres. Mitchell Moses might be a good target next week, coming off the bye, 73 in his return game. Just the Eels looked a lot better from all reports with him at the helm. I want to go to break evens. So Billy Smith, cheapie of the week, named to start, negative 31. Think you get him in. I think there's still a place for Savala coming off of 42. His break even's now reset to negative 23. So if you do want to go down from, say, what's his name, Lockie Hubner, for example, who's out with the HIA again this week, nice easy option there. Oh, sorry, I say again, he was suspended the first time. Give him some credit. But other than that, you can see not a lot of cheapies. As I said, keep a bit of an eye on for now. I don't think he scored a lot in his first game, so he won't feature highly on here, but could be one for next week. And as I said, in terms of upgrades, Mitchell Moses could be the one for next week. So we do have some forward thinking to consider. But in terms of my trades this week, so as I said, I do want to get out of Pakes, given that he's topped out in price. There's a couple of options there. We could do Hubner to Savala. Like I said, it would be nice to sort of get out of Jenkins, who probably has leveled out in price. 140k is nothing to sneeze at. But also we do have all this money invested in Jaden Campbell. So might try it without the Jaden Campbell trade before I had Jaden Campbell out, but we'll see if we can pull this off because we do have a bit of cash in bank. So seeing the trades I was thinking just quickly flash up on screen, but that's all good. So yes, I guess with Jenkins, we have a couple of options. We can either downgrade to Billy Smith, which we have to do a bit of a substitution for. So Toa doesn't really matter at this stage. So we can bring in Billy Smith, and we make 30k on the trade, plus obviously the incoming value. The other option is we use the extra bit of cash we've got, and we go straight to Marzu. So we could do that. I guess then the question is, what do we do about getting Billy Smith in? Do we fade Billy Smith? We've still got Purdue. We've got Garrick as a keeper. Toa's just about peaked in price, and we could sideways him to Jacob Kiraz, who is another option this week. So there's a few different things we can do there. But as I said, we do want to upgrade Pakes. So does that mean we, downgrade Hubner? So if we go Hubner to Savala as that second row cheapie, and then we've got the boost, so we can upgrade from Pakes. So Tavanga, cheap, break even, playing 13. So we're not too interested in the cheapies here. So obviously we sort of can't afford Connor Watson. Can't quite afford Wade Egan either. So I don't know if this is the play. So we'll just drop Savala off. So 634, 724. So I guess if we look at average, Connor Watson is averaging more. So I guess the original play is probably the one we're going to go with, which was Connor Watson, and just load up in the hooker position. And then to make up that 240k, we're going to let Campbell go. And then we're going to get in Billy Smith. So I think if I sort by average, he'll pop up close to the top of the list. There he is, number 6. So it pretty much leaves us where we started with 150k. Obviously, it means we're not getting Kiraz this week, which is a player we definitely want in the team. But we do have Toa. It's an easy enough move next week. Toa to Kiraz shouldn't cost too much. And then I guess as well we do want to start shuffling a bit around to get to Moses. So who potentially goes then? I don't know. We'll work it out. I think we can keep Metcalf. It'll be trying to push Isaiah Yeo up here. So maybe it's Corey Horsburgh. Maybe it's Mitch Barnett. We don't necessarily need both of the dual guys. We've got Nafahu White and one of these guys. So I think next week the play will be one of them to Moses. And then Toa to Kiraz. And if Sione Finau becomes a must-have, it could be Hiroti to Finau. Hiroti might have made his cash by then. Iro might be back next week. So we can do all that then. But I'll complete those trades so we can wrap this video up. Let's have a look at setting up the team real quick. So I think we need to get Watson and McInnes in the 17 this week. So I guess it's then a question of Horsburgh, Nicholson to sit out this week. I do like Barnett with no Fisher Harris. So, but probably on the bench this week for him. Mostly because I want to captain Terrell May. And Payne Haas plays first up. I guess we could put Horsburgh on the bench. So, yeah, basically there's going to be one slot there, whichever way we run it. We may need to play one of them on the bench too, to be fair. The halves are pretty well set and forget at the moment. Katoa can join the bench just because he plays later in the round. And then the centres, so Garrick and Purdue against the Titans, I think is the play. And then Marzu in for Iongi. And the rest of the team, I think, makes sense. So VC, I'm thinking Ponga to bounce back against the Warriors. I think it'll be a player no one else really goes for. So, we'll happily captain May if it doesn't work out. But you've got to risk it for the biscuit. So pretty much, yep, that's going to be the lineup. As I said, maybe a bit of a choice around the last reserve. But if we're making those tough decisions, it means we're in a good spot overall. So wrap the video up there. As always, if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below this video. Give us a like if you enjoy the team lists and sports deck content. Subscribe for all the fantasy sports content on the channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.